This week's episode is very interesting, as we stumble upon Reddington's love story, see Maleek's sad story, and I mean very sad, and lastly, a minor case that ends up with the takedown of an international crime organization. It begins with a couple, Okoro and Dooney. Dooney works at the same place with Charlene Cooper. Okoro is cooking dinner for her tonight and tells her that he is guilty that they can't take their honeymoon yet. He asks her to pick up a bottle of red wine on the way home. She picked up the wine and arrived home. It is dark. She turns the light on and sees that things are smashed in the apartment. It looks like a struggle. Okoro is not in the apartment. She calls his cell, and the number has been disconnected. It looks like her husband has been kidnapped. Cooper is home. He is stressed because the task force is under threat by the Department of Justice. Cooper tells his wife that the task force is on the brink of collapse because Reddington isn't providing cases anymore and that he's acting strange. When she asks Cooper if there is anything she can do, he sarcastically tells her to find them cases to work on. Charlene took it seriously and started telling Cooper about the case of the newlyweds, Okoro and Dooney, but he stopped her midway and told her that he was joking. She later persuaded him to work on the case. Cooper is with the task force and tells them about Dooney and Okoro. She filed a missing persons report, but nothing has been reported yet. He tells them that the case came from Charlene. The task force was surprised to hear that the case was from Charlene, but Cooper said if there is anybody with a stronger case, he is all ears, and that Congressman Hudson has recruited Senator Dorff to his cause. This alliance is so powerful that Cooper has lost hope in the survival of the task force. If the task force is at risk of being shut down by Congress, they might as well go down helping people. Ressler and Demby speak with Dooney. She says she met her husband on a dating app, and before they knew it, they fell in love. She arrived 4 weeks ago, and they got married right away. She says he has a stable career. Demby says they checked her husband's financials. His bank account was emptied the same day he vanished. She said whoever abducted her husband must have known about the dowry her parents sent to her husband's account the same week, which was $75,000. But it turns out that there is no kidnapper. Okoro, whose real name is Kel, is an ex-con man who works for a dowry scam. He was recruited by Gemma Perrick, the office manager for the parole office. Gemma runs a group of con men in an international fraud operation that targets vulnerable women from countries that still pay dowry. We see her chat with multiple targets at once, and when the victims fall in love with her words, she sends her con men to marry them, get the dowry, and just vanish. The task force did a check on Okoro, and Ressler says upon further investigation, they found out that everything about Okoro is fabricated. They went to the house to check some loose ends. Okoro thought he wiped all his prints, but Herbie obtained his fingerprint underneath the toilet seat. Herbie ran the fingerprint and found out the real Okoro's information and workplace. They went to his workplace. He works at the same place with Gemma, the mastermind who chats with the targets, and she calls Okoro and tells him about the FBI. She says he is burned and he has put them both at risk. She tells him to go to his apartment, get rid of anything that is connected to her, and disappear. Demby and Ressler went to the apartment and saw him packing. They had a chase and finally arrested him and took him into custody. Gemma calls another man, Aang Chen, who is currently working on a potential victim, and tells him they are moving up the timeline and he needs to get the dowry today. She tells him that one of the husbands is made, and she is shutting down the operation for a while. Chen says he can't steal from the target because he loves her. He tells her not to call again. Gemma reminds him that the target fell in love with her words, not him. He reiterated his stand and hung up on her. But Gemma couldn't give up on the target. She kidnapped the target and threatened Chen to bring the dowry if he wanted to see his wife again. Herbie tracks financials to arrest Chen. He went to the bank to withdraw the dowry to ransom his wife, and just as he was about to go, agents Ressler and Demby arrested him. They set up an arrest for Gemma by using Chen. In interrogation, we find out this all started with her sad story. She immigrated from India to marry a man who stole her dowry and ran away, making her a nowhere bride. She was so heartbroken and couldn't go back to her family. She adds that her reason for stealing dowries is that they are patriarchal, maintain gender inequality, prevent women from going to school, and make them economically independent. The fact that a minor case ends with the takedown of an international scam organization is a big win for the task force. Elsewhere, Reddington is with Sia. He is making morning coffee. He tells her that he is off to a meeting and that she should enjoy her coffee. She tells him that Harold told her to keep an eye on him. He gives her his burner phone and tells her to write down the number so she can call it anytime she wants to check up on him. He promised to answer. She has the check he gave her for $2,000 and she asks him what Kathleen Sutton has to do with her mother's past. He says some stories can't be told, they have to be discovered. Regina is delighted to meet Mira, Maleek's daughter, and tells her about Nigel's death. She reveals that an inquiry made it clear that Mira wasn't responsible, but we know that isn't true. She let him get ambushed. Saint also mentions another case where Nigel and Mira worked in Kolkata, and Maleek takes note. On Red's plane coming back, Maleek tells Red what she learned and demands whatever information he's holding back. Sia begged Reddington to just tell her what he knows. He told her that not every answer is worth knowing, but she insisted, and he finally tells her. In 1997, Mira worked in one of the deepest and darkest holes in humanity, where there are guns, drugs, and sex trafficking. And one day, Mira found an abandoned baby in the middle of a gunfight. She picked up that baby and ran, Red tells her. She ran all the way to London and never let go. Nigel knows about it, and he uses that to extort Mira Maleek, which was why she abandoned him to be killed so that Sia would be safe. He lets Maleek know that Mira would be very proud of her. Another interesting turn is Reddington's love journey. He travels all over the world, jeopardizing and fixing projects, just to meet with his lover, Weecha, who left him and now works for Santoro. The last time we saw Weecha, she was unconscious in one of Red's warehouse hospital tents after almost dying while protecting her boss. Mears was done with Red's obsession with Liz's death, and he took both sisters home to Cuba. Thank you for watching. Please support us by subscribing to our channel.